What's up everyone, and welcome to the blame game for the conclusion of the mid-season invitational. I'll be looking at the top Reddit comments in the post-game discussion threads and deciding if the blame there is justified or not. The tournament wrapped up as I jokingly, half-jokingly, not really jokingly at all, predicted in my last video that Korea would basically sweep their way through the whole thing. This inevitability led to a little lack of blame in the comments, but I was still able to dig some up, so let's get into it. The only topic I'll be touching on this week is the series between CLG and SKT. Now, all three best of fives had some minor blame on drafts, but Huhi was really the only person picking up some serious blame. Most of it was targeted at his lackluster play on Echo and Cassiopeia. Let's not sugarcoat it, okay? I mean, Huhi definitely had some problems on Echo. He played the laning phase pretty well, but he struggled to have the high impact assassination plays. There were a number of skirmishes and team fights where he just barely missed his ulti damage, but it's important to give credit to SKT as well for playing around it. There was also this potentially game-winning team fight that started with Huhi and Darshan getting a monster flank before Blank's stunning cocoon shut it down. Honestly though, if your opponent has this good of reactions, the only thing Huhi might have been able to do to play it better would be to throw his W further back in lane, hesitate a second before going for a flash E into the zone to stun everyone. You know, there was another mid-Echo player at this tournament who I think could have succeeded in Huhi's shoes, and his name is Faker. This play by Faker, where he manages to get massive ult damage on the entire enemy team, is the type of play that Huhi would need to make consistently in order for CLG to take this series. Now, if the level of play you need out of your mid laner to win a series is Faker level, well then you're going to be a pretty disappointed fan most of the time. The reality is that CLG as a team did not play well enough to win that series. I'm not convinced that there's a mid laner that you can plug into Huhi's shoes and CLG has a chance of taking this match. You can argue that CLG's map movements, understanding of the meta, and early game was all better than SKT's as they had leads in the first 10 minutes of every single game. The problem is the shortcomings of every player came into focus at different points throughout the series. Smithy and Afromu played way too aggressively and got caught out of position for it occasionally. Darshan got picked off in side lane split pushing and had some stuns that his team had no chance of following up on in teamfight situations. And 6A played some critical team fights wrong, such as this one, which if he just had a little bit more patience could have swung the game in CLG's favor. It's fitting that CLG got this far off the back of playing like a team and ultimately failed by having everyone not pull their weight. Huhi had some bad plays this series and might have been the worst performing member of CLG, but he wasn't so much worse than his teammates to deserve the amount of blame that he's getting. That being said, Reddit isn't being overly harsh, just maybe a little bit too focused on Huhi. Debuting a new section of the show is the online high five segment, where I'll be giving props to the Redditor with the best comment. This week's goes to Business Cashew, who basically wrote up a plot synopsis for this episode, and the rest of the Reddit community deserves some as well for making this one of the most upvoted comments in the thread. In your absence, Damien will be receiving your high five. So you can collect that from him later. I'll figure out a graphical artist to come up with something so I don't have to use Damien anymore. Anyways, that's it for this week's episode of The Blame Game. It's probably the last episode until the summer split starts up with best of 3, so look forward to more then. I'm finally set up in my own Vegas apartment, so I'll be able to shoot on my own and hopefully get content out faster, so look forward to that. Catch you guys later. I'm officially cutting off the Steve Liquid 112 donation drive. We clocked in at 926 subs, so that means that we'll be getting $9,260 donated out of him. You can tweet at him to harass him at Liquid112.